So I'm going to be making a really very simple table centre without any floral foam. And I've got one of the boxes I use for wedding floristry here. And it does actually fit 3 jars usually. But because I want to put 3 candles in, I'm only going to be using 2 jars today. And in my jars, I've just got some chicken wire, which I'll sit in and obviously put water in the jars. I have got, but I'm not sure I will use, a couple of test tubes. I've got some very well used candle holders and I'm going to have 3 of these. The candles don't fit quite as snugly as I would like. They're a bit wobbly, so I am just going to burn the bottom of the candles to get a closer, tighter fit on those. I've got some moss, which is just to fill in any gaps. Some pine cones, which I collected from the woods. And then a selection of foliages, some of them garden foliages and some of them more Christmas evergreens. I've got some lovely alder catkins and the little sort of miniature pine cones here. I've also got some alchemilla mollis, this is dried, and some dried bracken. From the garden, I've just got a few pieces of brachyglottis. I've got some skimmia, but I'm not sure I'm going to use any red. That's one for me to think about. I've got a little bit of in-bud viburnum. And I've got a little bit of pittosporum, some eucalyptus, and I'm not sure I'll use it again, but I've got some box, and that's all from the garden. And then here we've got some of the Christmas evergreens. I think this is a Normandy fir, and this I get from an obliging friend, which I guess is a type of conifer, but and I've also just got some sharp snips for cutting my foliage. So I just want these to fit nice and snugly. So I just want to melt the bottom of the candles, just so that hopefully the hot wax will hold them nicely upright. Oh, that's much better. Gonna have one at each end and then one in the middle, and then we'll pop our jars either side. They're a really snug fit, these jars, which is good really, that's what I want. And then, as I said, I may use the test tubes at the end, I may not. So I'm going to start by adding the foliages that might be a bit droopy, because they'll hopefully hang over the edges a little bit. And I don't want this table centre to take up a vast amount of room because I only have a small table. But I'm going to be just preparing my foliage as if I were doing a flower arrangement by just removing anything that's going to be below the waterline. Okay, so that's probably enough of the first ingredient. I don't want to overstuff this. So then the same, I'm going to strip the stems. I've got the lovely ivy with the berries on. They're not quite black yet. In fact, some of the ivy is yet to fruit. It's still almost in flower. The dried flowers stick very nicely into the moss. You wouldn't want to use too many dried flowers on something like this because you wouldn't want it to be flammable. But obviously this will be burnt under supervision during a Christmas lunch, so it's not to be left unattended. So I want to get my alder in here as well. It's absolutely one of my favourite things. I think I've probably said that on many videos before. I love the alder. I love the way the catkins have a purple tinge to them. And I remember very nearly falling in the river one year because I was so excited to find these catkins, and then I realised some minutes later that there were far more accessible catkins which would put me in far less danger. Now I'm not going to use any wire or anything to fix my pine cones. I'm just going to be placing them on the edge of the box, sitting them in there. But of course you could secure them if you wanted. Now I realise that these are plastic and possibly not hugely environmentally friendly, but I do use these again and again and again. And they're just great for adding things that you want to stay fresh in indoor environments like this. But obviously I haven't got any other water source on the ends here, apart from the dried flowers are in the moss. And actually the moss would sustain the arrangement for quite some time, but because today's the 18th of December, I want this to last all over Christmas and hopefully into the new year, which is why I've used a water source. Thank you so much for watching today. I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Really hoping that during my Christmas break I'm going to be able to get into the cut flower patch in the garden and catch up on a few things. Although we will be going away briefly during the Christmas period to visit my partner's family, which live elsewhere in the country. But I'm sure I can find a bit of time for a bit of gardening, and of course I'd like to take you with me when I do that. If you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to follow my growing, designing, cut flower journey, then you can of course subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to contribute towards the filming of these videos, then you can buy me a coffee, and the link for coffee buying is in the description to the video. Have a very Merry Christmas, and thanks again for watching.